Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about a simple yet profound truth. Focus on God, not your problems. In a world that constantly pulls our attention toward our struggles, fears, and uncertainties, it's easy to become overwhelmed. But what if I told you that your focus, where you direct your thoughts and energy, has the power to shape your reality? Let's begin by considering the power of focus. We all know that our thoughts shape our experience. When we focus on our problems, we are giving them more energy, more attention, and more power. We amplify them. But when we focus on God, we tap into a higher frequency, one of peace, love, and abundance. In that space, our problems shrink. Now, this isn't just a spiritual idea. It's grounded in the neuroscience of belief. Our brains are wired to respond to what we believe and focus on. When we focus on problems, we reinforce negative neural pathways that keep us trapped in cycles of fear, anxiety, and limitation. But when we shift our focus to God, we begin to create new pathways. These pathways lead to empowerment, clarity, and peace. Our brain starts to rewire itself in alignment with the divine possibilities that are available to us. Everything in the universe, including our thoughts and emotions, is energy. When we focus on fear, worry, and stress, we lower our vibrational frequency. We attract more of what we don't want. But when we focus on God, on His love, His guidance, and His promises, we raise our vibration. We align ourselves with a higher state of being, one that draws blessings, opportunities, and peace into our lives. The shift is subtle, but it is profound. And this brings us to the present moment. God exists in the now. He is not in the past, and He's not in the future. When we focus on Him, we center ourselves in the present, which is where true transformation occurs. In the present moment, we are free from the weight of past regrets and the anxiety of future worries. We are grounded in the peace of God's presence, and it is in this space that we can experience true healing, clarity, and growth. But how do we make this shift? How do we stop focusing on our problems and start focusing on God? The answer lies in reprogramming our minds. Our minds have been conditioned to focus on what's wrong, to dwell on what we fear, and to fixate on what's lacking. But we have the power to choose. We can consciously choose to focus on God's love, His goodness, and His promises. As we do this, we rewire our minds for hope, for trust, and for faith. And speaking of faith, let's talk about the most powerful shift of all, from fear to faith. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, but it doesn't have to control us. When we focus on God, we acknowledge that He is in control. We trust that His plans for us are greater than any problem we face. Faith allows us to look at challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and divine intervention. When we focus on God, fear loses its grip on us, and we step into a place of courage, calm, and trust. So I encourage you today to make a conscious decision. Focus on God, not your problems. Shift your attention away from what's going wrong and place it on what's going right. On God's love, His guidance, and His power. In doing so, you will rewire your brain, raise your vibration, and transform your life. The power of focus is something we often overlook, but it plays a crucial role in shaping our experiences and the reality we live in. Our minds are incredibly powerful, and what we choose to focus on dictates not only how we feel, but also how we perceive the world around us. When we focus on our problems, we are essentially magnifying them. The more attention we give to what's wrong, the more energy we pour into those challenges, and the more they seem to dominate our lives. Our thoughts become consumed by the issue at hand, and soon it feels like nothing else matters. This focus on problems can create a cycle of stress, worry, and even despair, because the mind doesn't know how to differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. When we focus on fear, doubt, or negativity, the mind starts to believe that this is our reality, and we begin to live as though these problems are insurmountable, as though we are powerless. But here's the beautiful thing. We have the power to change where we place our focus. We can choose to shift our attention away from the problem and onto something greater, something more powerful. When we focus on God, we are directing our thoughts and energy toward a source of peace, strength, and abundance. God is the ultimate force in the universe, and when we align our focus with His presence, we tap into a higher frequency. This frequency is not just about the absence of problems, it's about the presence of something far more powerful than any challenge we face. It's about peace that surpasses understanding, a calm that transcends any storm, and a love that never fails. By focusing on God, we invite a transformation in our thinking. Instead of seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance, we begin to see ourselves as empowered beings, capable of overcoming any obstacle with God's guidance. When we place our focus on Him, we start to see possibilities instead of problems. We begin to recognize that no matter what we face, God is with us, leading, guiding, and strengthening us. The more we focus on His presence, the more we begin to embody the qualities of peace, trust, and resilience. Our minds become attuned to His wisdom and our hearts open to His love. This shift in focus doesn't just change our perspective. It changes the energy we radiate into the world. We begin to attract what we focus on, and when we focus on God, we attract His peace, His provision, and His power into our lives. In essence, focusing on God is not about ignoring our problems. It's about shifting our attention from the limitations of our circumstances to the limitless possibilities of God's love and power. It's about choosing to align our thoughts with something greater than ourselves, something eternal and unshakable. When we focus on God, we open ourselves up to a reality where peace reigns, where faith overcomes fear, and where love transforms everything. The power of focus, then, lies not in what we are looking at, but in what we choose to look toward. And when we choose to focus on God, we are choosing a life filled with hope, purpose, and divine guidance. The neuroscience of belief reveals a profound truth about the power of our thoughts. What we believe and focus on directly shapes the way our brain functions and the reality we experience. Our brain is not a passive organ that simply reacts to external stimuli. It is an active participant in creating the world we perceive. Every thought we have sends electrical signals through the brain, creating patterns of neural activity. These patterns become ingrained over time, forming neural pathways that govern our habits, behaviors, and even our emotional responses. Essentially, the brain is wired by our beliefs, and the more we think a certain way, the stronger these neural pathways become. When we focus on our problems or on negative beliefs, we reinforce the neural circuits associated with fear, anxiety, and stress. These pathways become stronger and more automatic, making it easier for us to fall into cycles of worry and doubt. In this state, we are essentially hardwiring ourselves for a life of limitation, because the brain is constantly processing and responding to the fear and negativity we focus on. The more we engage with these thoughts, the more the brain becomes conditioned to expect problems and difficulties, and our perception of reality shifts accordingly. We begin to see obstacles where there are opportunities, and we start to feel trapped by circumstances that we believe we cannot control. But here's where the power of shifting our focus comes into play. The brain is incredibly adaptable. This quality, known as neuroplasticity, allows us to rewire our brains by changing the way we think. When we choose to focus on positive beliefs, on faith, or on God's promises, we start to create new neural pathways that align with these higher states of being. Just as we can reinforce negative pathways through constant worry, we can also strengthen neural circuits that promote peace, hope, and trust. Over time, these new pathways become more dominant, and we begin to experience a shift in our thoughts, emotions, and actions. We start to see the world through a lens of possibility rather than limitation. When we focus on God, we tap into a higher state of consciousness, one that transcends the fear and negativity that typically dominate our thinking. This shift in focus changes the way our brain processes information. As we continue to focus on God, we rewire our brains for greater faith, hope, and empowerment. The beauty of this process is that it is not just about changing our thoughts, it's about changing the very structure of our brain. The more we focus on God and on positive beliefs, the more we create a brain that is wired for peace, joy, and spiritual alignment. Our beliefs become our reality, and when we believe in something greater than ourselves, something unshakable and eternal, we begin to experience the transformation of our minds and our lives. The neuroscience of belief shows us that we are not victims of our circumstances. We are active participants in shaping our reality. And by focusing on God, we unlock the power to rewire our brains for a life of peace, abundance, and divine possibility. You said, energy and vibration expend it, but do not subhead it. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Energy and vibration are fundamental aspects of the universe that influence everything around us, including our thoughts, emotions, and even our physical health. Every object, every living being, and every thought we have is composed of energy, and this energy vibrates at a certain frequency. The law of vibration tells us that everything in existence is in constant motion, and this motion is what creates the energy we experience. Our thoughts and emotions are no exception. They too have their own vibrational frequency. When we focus on positive thoughts, such as love, gratitude, and peace, we elevate our vibration to a higher frequency, one that aligns us with the positive energies of the universe. Conversely, when we focus on fear, anger, and negativity, we lower our vibrational frequency, aligning ourselves with energies that are dense, heavy, and limiting. The fascinating part of this is that our vibrational frequency not only affects how we feel internally, but it also influences what we attract into our lives. The universe operates on a principle of resonance, meaning that like attracts like. When we vibrate at a higher frequency, filled with positive emotions and thoughts, we attract experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with that energy. On the other hand, when we vibrate at a lower frequency, we tend to attract situations and people that reflect that negativity and fear. This is why focusing on God or on positive beliefs can have such a transformative effect on our lives. God's energy is pure, infinite, and of the highest frequency. When we align ourselves with God's presence and focus on His love, guidance, and promises, we raise our own vibration to match His divine energy. This shift in vibration is not just a metaphysical concept, it is supported by science. Studies in quantum physics have shown that our thoughts and emotions can influence the physical world around us. When we focus on positive, high vibration thoughts, we begin to change the energy fields within and around us. This can manifest in tangible ways: better health, improved relationships, and greater opportunities. By focusing on God, we tap into a universal source of high-frequency energy that can heal, restore, and elevate every aspect of our lives. In addition to attracting positive experiences, raising our vibration also has a profound effect on our well-being. When we operate at a higher frequency, we are more in tune with our bodies, our emotions, and our spiritual selves. We experience less stress, greater emotional resilience, and a deeper sense of inner peace. Our bodies, which are also made of energy, respond positively to this higher vibration, leading to improved health and vitality. This is why focusing on God's love and presence is not just a spiritual practice, it is a holistic approach to living a healthier, more fulfilling life. The beauty of this understanding is that we have the power to change our vibration at any moment. Through our thoughts, emotions, and focus, we can elevate our energy and shift our experience of the world. By choosing to focus on God, we align ourselves with the highest possible frequency, one that brings peace, joy, and abundance into our lives. The more we practice this focus, the more we begin to resonate with divine energy, attracting all that is good and true into our experience. In this way, we can live not just in alignment with our highest potential, but in alignment with the very energy of the universe itself. The present moment is where life truly unfolds. It is the only moment we have access to, yet we often overlook its power because we are consumed by the past or preoccupied with the future. We spend so much of our time reflecting on what has already happened or worrying about what might come that we miss the richness of the now. But the present moment is where transformation takes place, where we can experience peace, healing, and growth. It is where we can connect with God, where His presence is felt most deeply, and where we can experience the fullness of life. God exists in the present moment, and when we focus on Him in the here and now, we align ourselves with His divine presence. He is not confined to the past or the future. He is eternal, and His power is always available to us in the present. By turning our attention to God in the present moment, we invite His peace, His guidance, and His love into our lives. This focus allows us to transcend the worries and fears that often pull us out of the now and into a state of anxiety or regret. When we are grounded in the present, we are no longer weighed down by the mistakes of the past or the uncertainty of the future. We can experience life as it is, fully and completely, without the distortion of past memories or future projections. The present moment is where we can cultivate a sense of inner peace. When we stop dwelling on what was or what might be, we free ourselves from the mental noise that often keeps us disconnected from our true selves and from God. In the now, there is no need for fear or worry because we are in the place where all is well. We are in the place where God's love and grace are available to us in abundance. This presence, this awareness of the moment, is where we find clarity, purpose, and strength. It is in the present moment that we are able to hear God's voice, to feel His guidance, and to experience the fullness of His peace. Living in the present moment also allows us to fully engage with life. When we are not distracted by the past or the future, we can experience each moment with greater depth and appreciation. We can savor the beauty of the world around us, the love of those we are with, and the quiet moments of solitude that allow us to connect with God. The present moment is where we are most alive, where we can find joy and gratitude in the smallest of things, and where we can make the most of every opportunity. It is in the now that we can choose to live with intention, to make decisions that align with our highest values, and to step into the life we are meant to live. By focusing on the present, we also free ourselves from the grip of time. Time can feel like a constant pressure, always moving forward, always demanding our attention. But when we focus on the present moment, we transcend time. We enter into a space where we are no longer controlled by the ticking of the clock or the weight of past experiences. We are simply here, fully alive and fully connected to God, who is timeless and eternal. In this state, we are able to experience the peace that comes from knowing that we are exactly where we need to be, and that God is with us every step of the way. The present moment is a gift, and when we embrace it, we open ourselves to a life of peace, clarity, and divine connection. By focusing on God in the now, we can experience His presence in a way that transforms our lives. We can find strength in the face of challenges, joy in the midst of everyday moments, and a deep sense of fulfillment in knowing that we are aligned with God's will for our lives. The present moment is where true transformation happens, and it is where we can experience the fullness of life that God has intended for us. Reprogramming the mind is one of the most powerful tools we have for creating lasting change in our lives. Our minds are not static. They are constantly evolving based on the thoughts we think, the beliefs we hold, and the experiences we encounter. The good news is that we have the ability to consciously choose how we think and what we believe. Just as we can develop unhealthy habits or negative thought patterns over time, we can also replace them with empowering beliefs and positive mental habits that align with the life we desire to live. The process of reprogramming the mind begins with awareness. We must first recognize the patterns of thought that are limiting us. Many of these patterns are deeply ingrained, often developed over years of conditioning. They may be the result of past experiences, societal influences, or negative messages we've internalized throughout our lives. These patterns might include thoughts of self-doubt, fear, scarcity, or unworthiness. The mind has a tendency to repeat these thoughts because it is familiar with them. But this familiarity doesn't mean they serve us or reflect the truth of who we are. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in breaking free from them. Once we become aware of the limiting thoughts that dominate our minds, the next step is to consciously choose new thoughts. This is where the power of focus comes into play. The mind cannot hold two conflicting thoughts at once. When we focus on positive, empowering beliefs, such as the belief that God is always with us, that we are capable of overcoming any obstacle, or that we are worthy of love and success, we begin to replace the old, limiting thoughts with new, life-affirming ones. This shift in focus helps to create new neural pathways in the brain, pathways that support our new beliefs and reinforce them over time. Reprogramming the mind also involves repetition. Just as the old thought patterns were reinforced through repetition, the new patterns must be practiced regularly in order to take root. The more we consciously choose thoughts that align with our highest good, the more automatic these thoughts become. Over time, they begin to replace the old, disempowering beliefs, and our minds begin to function in a way that supports our growth, peace, and success. This is where the concept of neuroplasticity comes in. The brain's ability to rewire itself based on the thoughts and experiences we focus on. By consistently choosing positive thoughts and beliefs, we can literally rewire our brains for greater happiness, health, and fulfillment. A key part of reprogramming the mind is the practice of affirmations and visualization. These tools help to reinforce new beliefs and create a clear mental image of the life we desire. When we repeat positive affirmations, we are speaking truth into our lives and aligning our thoughts with our highest potential. Visualization, on the other hand, allows us to mentally experience the life we want to create. By vividly imagining ourselves living in alignment with God's will, we begin to cultivate the feelings, thoughts, and actions that will bring that vision into reality. The more we immerse ourselves in these practices, the more we align our minds with the energy of our desires. Another powerful aspect of reprogramming the mind is surrendering to God's guidance. While we have the power to choose our thoughts, we must also trust that God is leading us toward the best version of ourselves. Reprogramming the mind is not just about changing our thoughts. It's about aligning those thoughts with divine wisdom and purpose. When we surrender to God's plan for our lives, we allow His truth to replace the lies we've believed about ourselves and our circumstances. This surrender creates a sense of peace and trust that guides us in making decisions that are in alignment with our highest good. Reprogramming the mind is an ongoing process, but it is one that brings profound transformation. As we shift our thoughts and beliefs, we begin to experience a new reality. We move from a place of fear and limitation to a place of faith and possibility. Our actions align with our beliefs, and we begin to create a life that reflects the peace, abundance, and joy that God has intended for us. The more we reprogram our minds, the more we step into the fullness of who we are and the life we are meant to live. Through this process, we become co-creators with God, shaping our thoughts, beliefs, and experiences in alignment with His divine will. Faith over fear is one of the most transformative shifts we can make in our lives. Fear is a natural human response to the unknown, to uncertainty, and to the challenges we face. It's a primal instinct designed to protect us from danger. But when fear becomes the driving force in our lives, it limits us. It holds us back from stepping into our full potential and prevents us from embracing the opportunities and blessings that lie ahead. On the other hand, faith is a force that empowers us to rise above fear. It is the belief that there is a greater power guiding us, that we are not alone, and that everything is unfolding for our highest good. Choosing faith over fear is a decision to trust in God's promises, to believe that He is in control, and to move forward with confidence, even in the face of uncertainty. Fear often stems from the illusion of separation, from the belief that we are alone, that we are not capable, or that the challenges we face are insurmountable. But faith reminds us that we are never truly alone. God is always with us, guiding us and strengthening us. When we focus on His presence, we begin to realize that fear is simply a distraction, a tool the enemy uses to keep us from stepping into the fullness of our potential. Fear tells us that we are not enough, that we cannot handle what lies ahead, and that we should play small. Faith, however, tells us that with God all things are possible. Faith tells us that we have everything we need within us to overcome any obstacle and to fulfill the purpose for which we were created. The challenge, however, is that fear often feels real. It shows up as anxiety, worry, and doubt, and it can feel overwhelming. But just because fear feels real doesn't mean it is. Fear is often based on what might happen, not on what is actually happening in the present moment. It is rooted in imagination, in scenarios that have not yet occurred. Faith, on the other hand, is grounded in the truth of the present moment. It is the belief that God is with us right now, that He has already gone before us, and that He will never leave us or forsake us. When we choose to focus on this truth, fear loses its grip on us. We stop giving power to the what-ifs and begin to trust in the what is, the reality that God is faithful, that He is working all things together for our good, and that His love is greater than any fear. Faith over fear is not about denying the presence of fear, but about choosing to acknowledge it without letting it control us. Fear will always be a part of the human experience, but we don't have to let it dictate our actions or our mindset. When fear arises, we can choose to meet it with faith. We can choose to remind ourselves of God's promises, of His faithfulness, and of the countless times He has carried us through difficult situations in the past. Each time we choose faith over fear, we build our spiritual muscle. We strengthen our ability to trust in God, to move forward despite uncertainty, and to take bold steps toward our destiny. This shift from fear to faith is a process, but it is one that brings profound transformation. As we choose faith, we begin to see the world differently. We start to recognize that every challenge is an opportunity for growth, that every obstacle is a chance to trust God more deeply. Faith opens our eyes to the possibilities that fear tries to blind us to. It allows us to step into the unknown with courage, knowing that we are supported by a power far greater than ourselves. Faith over fear also means living with a sense of peace, knowing that we don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to control every outcome. We can release the need for certainty and trust that God's plan for our lives is far greater than anything we could imagine. This trust brings a deep sense of peace, a peace that transcends understanding and allows us to move through life with a sense of calm and assurance, no matter what circumstances we face. Ultimately, choosing faith over fear is about aligning our hearts and minds with God's truth. It is about trusting that He is in control, that He is good, and that He will guide us through every trial. As we make this choice, we begin to experience a life of greater freedom, peace, and fulfillment. Fear no longer has the power to hold us back, because we know that with God by our side, we are more than capable of facing anything that comes our way. And as we live with faith, we become a beacon of light to others, showing them that it is possible to live a life of courage, hope, and trust, even in the face of fear. In conclusion, life is a journey of choices, and the most transformative choice we can make is to focus on God rather than on our problems. Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions shape our reality, and by choosing to focus on God's presence, His promises, and His love, we can rewire our minds, elevate our energy, and step into a life of peace, purpose, and possibility. The power of focus is immense. When we choose to focus on God, we align ourselves with a higher frequency, one that transcends fear, doubt, and limitation. We begin to see the world not through the lens of our problems, but through the lens of divine possibility. Our minds are powerful tools, capable of creating the life we desire. By reprogramming our minds to believe in God's truth, to trust in His guidance, and to embrace His love, we can break free from the limiting beliefs that hold us back. The neuroscience of belief shows us that our thoughts have the power to reshape our brain and our experience of the world. When we choose to focus on faith over fear, we open ourselves up to a reality where anything is possible. Fear may try to grip us, but faith empowers us to rise above it, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. Energy and vibration are also essential components of our experience. Everything in the universe is energy, and our thoughts and emotions create a vibrational frequency that influences what we attract into our lives. When we focus on God and His divine energy, we elevate our own vibration, attracting peace, abundance, and opportunities that align with His will for us. The present moment is where we can experience this divine energy most fully. It is in the now that we can connect with God, experience His peace, and make choices that align with our highest good. By focusing on the present moment, we free ourselves from the burdens of the past and the anxieties of the future, and we step into the fullness of life that God has for us. In the end, the key to living a life of purpose, peace, and fulfillment lies in our ability to focus on God. When we align our thoughts, beliefs, and actions with His divine presence, we unlock the power to overcome any challenge, to create a life of abundance, and to experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. It is not about ignoring our problems or pretending they don't exist. It is about choosing to focus on the greater truth that God is with us, guiding us and empowering us to live a life of victory. So I encourage you today to shift your focus. Focus on God, not on your problems. Choose faith over fear. Trust in His promises and believe that He is working all things together for your good. The power to transform your life is within you, and it begins with the choice to focus on the one who is greater than any challenge, any fear, or any obstacle. As you make this choice, you will experience a life filled with peace, purpose, and divine possibility.